I'm only gonna put half the bag. I'll put the rest in when it's actually cooking the sauce. Here's my ground beef. I have my green peppers, my seasoning. I'm going to let it cook a little bit, and then I'm going to create my sauce, and then I'm going to put my noodles in this pan for the spaghetti, and we're going to keep it really simple. I have the fire at about medium. I turned it up a little bit, and I'm going to start breaking this up before it cooks so that it doesn't get too difficult to separate the ground beef. Start with pepper. It's like a little ring to it with the curry. Okay, let me put the basil on. I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this off. One thing I've learned to do over the years is to use frozen vegetables. I would usually cut up my bell pepper, my onions, but sometimes the onions get in my eye and it really causes me not to enjoy the experience. But I really love fresh onions, and I'm not going to use them today because I'm kind of trying to move along. And when you don't have fresh onions, you can always buy frozen onions. I don't have frozen onions today that I'm aware of. I'm just going to use my minced onions. I don't use this often. We'll use it for today. I'm just adding a little bit of minced onions, mainly for the smell and taste. I'm still going to put a little garlic powder. I don't season a lot right away because I layer my seasoning. I'm going to season again when I put the sauce in. Sometimes if you really want to take your spaghetti to another level, you can add some Italian ground beef as well, or Italian sausages, and you chop up the Italian sausages and mix them in. That's how I typically make my spaghetti, but I'm just really making a quick spaghetti sauce and some noodles today. I'm gonna let it cook a little more just so that I can get more of that oil out. See how that oil coming in? What I do is I have my drain sitting inside of a pan so that it doesn't go in the actual sink. It just will, the extra fat will drain right into that pan here. Let's get rid of that. You can hear the water dripping. Move it around a little bit. It's gonna get some in the sink, but we don't want to get a lot of this sort. Like, you don't want a lot of this in it. I'm just shaking it to get all the extra oil. And look at all that oil that's still dripping. You hear that? You want to get rid of that. Oil off. Alright, so I'm going to turn the fire back on. Let's put it at medium. It doesn't have to be real high because I'm going to let it just let it cook. First, I'm going to start with this tomato sauce from Tops. Just some tomato sauce. This is a big can, 29 ounces. I'm going to use 2 of these. I usually add some diced tomatoes, but I don't think I even have diced tomatoes today. Let me see. I don't even have diced tomatoes today, so when I tell you, I don't even have diced tomatoes. So when I tell you this is going to be a simple spaghetti, mean it. I normally would add diced tomatoes along with tomato sauce. So that's 2 cans of these 29-ounce tomato sauces. Let's go back to these bell peppers. I'm just going to put the rest of them in here. We don't need a lot though. Let them cook along with the spaghetti. I'm going to add a container of tomato paste and let this just cook. That you want to make your tomato sauce more texture, add a can of diced tomatoes or however you like it. I didn't have a whole lot of meat, just 1 tray. I have some sliced shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to go ahead and cut up these shiitake mushrooms. I cooked them before, and you can throw them in big like this, but I notice I tend to like mine's cut a little smaller. I like shiitake, they're supposed to be good for you. Depending on how much you like mushrooms, you can go ahead and leave them like this, throw them in your sauce. They're going to cook and get smaller naturally, but these stay rather sizable. And I kind of like my mushrooms about 1/3 of the size of these, or even a fourth. Like these are a little bigger than I like. So I'm going to take my knife and just start cutting them a little smaller. Now, you could use a cutting board, but right now, this is all I have because this is a very quick meal that I'm just doing. It's already starting to smell really good. I can smell the herbs coming together. And that's why I love herbs, because as it cooks, it just has a nice smell. And I really want to cook my sauce quite slow today, because I got other things going on, and I'm actually not that hungry. So I'm going to take it slow so all the seasons and herbs can come together a little better. I'm only going to probably cook it for another 30 minutes while I let the mushrooms cook to the texture that I like. I think I got all the really big mushrooms cut. I'm going to go ahead and put these shiitakes into the spaghetti. And then I'm going to leave my fire on low, and I'm just going to let the sauce cook likely for another 30 minutes or so on low. And I'm going to come back and make my noodles. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let that water cook on medium, and I'm going to let it heat up. But while it's cooking, I'm going to add olive oil. I tend to like a little olive oil when I cook my noodles. And some people put salt. I just put oil. But we'll just put oil for now. I'm still not sure why people put salt, but if you know, let me know. So I'm going to let that cook. I'm going to put these noodles in. I'm just using everything pretty much Tops brand, a nice quick spaghetti. So I went ahead and added some thyme and bay leaf, and I put the noodles in, the spaghetti noodles into the water. See, it's cooking, getting nice and thick. I'm gonna wipe off the spoon, and I'm gonna go ahead and push these noodles down and let them finish cooking. These spaghetti noodles, usually they say cook them for 7 to 9 minutes. While these are finishing cooking, I actually turned the water off on the spaghetti noodles. And while they're finishing cooking, I'm gonna go get the strainer ready. I'll be right back. I just added a little more olive oil to these noodles. I like oil because it helps the noodles move. I'm gonna go ahead and make me some spaghetti. Alright, so I went ahead and my sauce is done. As you can see, the mushrooms are a lot smaller in here, like I like it. The noodles are done. I just added a little bit of olive oil to the noodles. And I'm gonna go ahead and have me a little plate of spaghetti. Usually I use my tongs or a tool for spaghetti noodles, but today I'm gonna just use my hands. Just put the noodles on here. Now sometimes I like to let them, I usually let the sauce sit for a while, but I'm going to let this sauce sit on my noodles, and I'll come back to this in a moment. I want the sauce to move through the noodles. I am not really hungry, so I'm just going to let it sit for a while, cool off. There's some quick spaghetti.